Welcome to New York's number 2 sports show. The Yankees win another series. They take 2 of 3 at the Trop against the Rays. They are now 5-0 in rubber games. So that's a good stat. They are, I believe, 10-2-1 within their 13 series. And you look at them, and that's great in and of itself. And the only one that's kind of frustrating is that one split against the Oakland A's at home. And look, Oakland actually isn't all that bad, but still. And I know 4-game series can be tough, I guess, but that was one where I wish they could have won that one. But hey, like, you lose 2 of 3 at the Blue Jays. That happens, and that's understandable. And then with losing 3 of 4 at Baltimore, I can't say I'm totally surprised by that. That just hurts because that's your main competition. All that to say that really been a nice beginning to the Yankee season, and it's more than the beginning. I mean, at this point, you're basically a quarter of the way into the season. I guess maybe even a little bit further than that. The Yankees are 27-15, and the formula for this series win, very similar to the last series against the Astros. A lot of home runs, and the Yankees are really building up in that department. And then a couple of really good starts. And the common thread in both series was Luis Gil, who arguably has been the Yankees' best starter. And there's arguments to be made with, against him. But in my opinion, I think he has been. And then where last series it was Rodon, this series Clarke Schmidt. And Clarke Schmidt, quietly is putting together a very nice season. Because the good thing about Clarke, and, don't want to jinx it, but he hasn't really gotten bombed in any outing that I can think of. Now, maybe there was one earlier on, but he's just very consistent. And look, the Yankees, they take game 1, lose game 2, and then win game 3. And like I said, a lot of home runs from different sources as well. And game 1, you get Anthony Rizzo was kind of the offensive catalyst, and he's really, turned it around lately. I like what he's done. Game 3, all across the board. Jahmai Jones hits his first major league home run, which, doing it on Mother's Day was pretty cool. And only his second start of the season and his first ever start in left field, as Alex Verdugo had the day off. So he homered. Jose Trevino hits 2 home runs, and the catcher position has been getting great production. Trevino and Wells have, for a while now, really been doing a very nice job. And behind the plate as well, too. Aaron Judge homers again. And so, he gets off to that slow start, but now the numbers are starting to really round into form for him. The batting average is still lower than he'd want it to be, but, again, he got off to a really slow start. And then Gleyber Torres, it's a really big 3-run homer, and I'm just hoping that somehow that can get him rolling because, the numbers going into that were and still are ugly. But yeah, like beating the Rays, look, this iteration of the Rays doesn't seem so great, but still, like, they're only a game under 500. The Rays are 20-21. So they're right there. Like, when it's all said and done, if you told me the Rays make the playoffs, I wouldn't be overly surprised. Not at all. So to go into the Trop and take 2 of 3, very good job by the Yankees. And now their next series will be at the Twins, a Twins team that's doing really well this year. Now, notoriously, the Yankees own Minnesota. We've seen that year after year. But, hey, certainly can't take them lightly, and that will be an interesting series at Target Field. But, yeah, as far as this one goes, I had alluded to it last episode, but Nick Burdi was activated off the IL and actually pitched in a couple of these games. Control for him is an issue. He's got really good stuff, but, like, again, can he harness it? Like I've talked about with Luis Gil, and Luis Gil has shown that he can. For Nick Burdi, and look, he just came back, but he struggled. And, this bullpen is definitely, it's tattered to say the least. And I feel as if sending down Ron Marinaccio is not the wise move. I kind of talked about it last time. Like, do you have to keep Michael Tonkin? Like, is he that valuable where I don't know. Like, they're able to survive it, and Luke Weaver has been a godsend out of that pen. The fact, like, he has become, behind Clay Holmes, he is the guy. And there's kind of a wide margin after Weaver, in my opinion, at this point. But we'll get into some of the bullpen stuff more so in Game 3. Let's jump into the series, as I believe that was the only transaction that had occurred. Tommy Kahnle doesn't seem too far away, and that can, if he can be his old self, then that would be very helpful as far as the pen is concerned. But yeah, Clarke Schmidt, 6 2/3 innings, 5 hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. Just a really, really nice line. His ERA on the season is now 2.9, is at 2.95. He is 4-1 on the year, and yeah, just a really nice season for Clarke. And the fact that in this one he goes 6 2/3, that's definitely the furthest he's gone. And his pitch count was at 87. So he could have went further. And although looking back on it, he brought in Birdie. Now what happens here is it ends up being a caught stealing. So Birdie doesn't actually get a batter out. He kind of gets help. But it all worked out. So that I guess that's the most important thing. And as far as the lineup, basically your traditional Yankee lineup these days where, versus the righty. And for the Rays, it was Taj Bradley who pitched really well. Bradley making his debut this season, goes 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. And, it's the classic Volpe, Soto, Judge, Verdugo, Stanton, Rizzo, Torres. And the only questions at this point is it's kind of a split between Trevino and Wells. And then kind of same thing between Birdie and Oswaldo. Depends how you look at it. Now in this game, they did go Birdie versus the righty. Normally it would be Oswaldo. So, Birdie is someone that is going to be used a decent amount more so than just your average bench player. But anyway, this one should be pretty quick going through it. A lot of good pitching for Schmidt and Bradley. But in the 4th inning, the Yankees break through. And it got going with 1 out, Giancarlo Stanton, and Judge is on first after he walked earlier in the inning. Stanton singles. And Judge was running on the play, so he goes to third. So for Stanton, even though, he does strike out a lot. We saw that, I guess, Game 3 of the Astros series? The 0-for-4 strikeouts, I believe. But still, I like he's looking a lot better at the plate, Stanton. And that kind of remained true in this series. So he hits a hard single. And then Anthony Rizzo, who is really, really turning it around in a pretty consistent way. He gets an opposite field RBI single to score Judge. That was all they ended up needing. But Rizzo would tack on later. But it's 1-0 Yanks at that point. Where do we go from here? Schmidt gets in a little bit of trouble in the 5th inning. It ends up being 1st and 2nd, 2 outs, and he strikes out Alex Jackson to end the inning. Then, where do we go? A key pickoff by Schmidt in the 6th. He picks off Randy Rosarena at first base. So what could have been a problem was not. Kevin Kelly replaces Taj Bradley with a 1st and 2nd 1-out situation, and Anthony Volpe strikes out. And then the lefty Garrett Clevenger gets Juan Soto looking. Then Schmidt in the 7th. Leadoff walk to Isaac Paredes, which isn't good, but then he gets a strikeout and a line out, and then Nick Birdie comes on. And while Isaac Paredes is up, it's a caught stealing as Paredes is caught. Paredes was not the one that was up. Paredes was the one that was caught stealing. So a good job by Jose Trevino there. Then in the bottom of the 8th, Luke Weaver just has been magnificent. Let's give you Weaver numbers now. So he goes 1, 2, 3 in that 8th with a couple of strikeouts. And on the season, Luke Weaver, he has a 2.30, 2.42 ERA, 26 innings, 27 strikeouts with a .62 whip. He has definitely been one of the best relievers in baseball. Those numbers are that good. It's the whip for me. And what it comes down to is the opposing batting average. He's only allowed 12 hits in 26 innings, and the 4 walks to 27 strikeout ratio, incredible. So Luke Weaver, good job. 9th inning, it would be Anthony Rizzo giving a big extra run. It's his 7th homer of the year. Leadoff homer in that inning off of Sean Armstrong. Gives Yanks a 2-0 lead. Bottom of the 9th, Clay Holmes gets into legit trouble. And for Clay, his controls were really good, but it kind of got away from him in this one. Leadoff walk Yandy Diaz, then he gets Rosarena to strike out. Then he walks Josh Lowe. Then he gets very lucky And Holmes has gotten lucky this year as far as umpires. They don't look. I don't. I wish that we had robot umps. That's just my opinion. But Holmes specifically, his ball must be tough to detect. And it was, a 2-2 count and clear ball three called strike three on Paredes. And now Austin Shenton pinch hits for Hal Ramirez. He singles. So thank God for that Paredes strikeout. So now it's bases loaded, 2 out, and Johnny DeLuca strikes out to end it. So Holmes is able, he does strike out the side, and he still has not allowed an earned run this year. So for Holmes, he threw a lot of pitches, 34 pitches. He was worked. Now, granted, he hadn't pitched in a while before that, and it was the only time he would pitch this series. So Holmes gets it done. Schmidt deserves most of the credit, and Anthony Rizzo as well. So Yankees win 2-0. Let's go to game 2. Yankees lose game 2. And, for Nestor Cortez, the difference between what he's done at home and on the road, very, very distinct. And I talked about this, because Nestor at home has been like lights the fuck out. But on the road, not as much. And it wasn't as if he got tattooed. It was a couple of mistakes that burnt him. But let's just talk about it real quick. So Nestor drops to 1-4 on the year. And look, that isn't a good representation. But he is 1-4, 4.02 ERA, 51 strikeouts in 53 2/3 innings, and a 1.08 whip. So the whip is actually in a good place. Like, ERA is, let's call it average. Maybe, like 4.02 is not good, but it's not, as bad as the 1-4 record would indicate. But here's the thing with Nestor. At home, 1.59 ERA, a .60 whip, and an opposing batting average of 162. On the road, he's 0-3 with a 6.75 ERA, a 1.62 whip, and a 292 opposing batting average. That is really bad. So I'm not sure if it's getting talked about much, but yeah, like it needs to be at least evaluated within the Yankee, within Matt Blake and the trust within, I don't know, the pitching staff and whatever, to see why that's happening. Could it be a fluke? I guess, but the sample size is increasing to the point where I don't think it is. So, but look, the fact of the matter is the Yankees only put up 2 runs. They only get 5 hits. So even if Nestor gives you something a little bit better than that, decent chance the Yankees are still losing this game. So in this one, Gleyber Torres would not start. He would have a pinch hit appearance. And John Birdie actually batted 5th and Rizzo 6th. So they're really, really sticking with the righty-lefty thing. The fact that they had Birdie bat ahead of Rizzo, just something of note. But yeah, Birdie would start again. He started actually all 3 games of the series. Oswaldo Cabrera would start at second base in game 2. So it's interesting. So Oswaldo actually only started 1 of the 3 games. And look, his stats have gotten a little bit worse, but I still would like Oswaldo to play more than not. Also of note, Aaron Judge DHs in this game and Giancarlo Stanton would sit, which meant that Trent Grisham would start in center field. So Nestor goes 5 1/3 innings, 5 hits, 4 runs, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, 2 homers. Just not great. And, he wasn't thrilled with the strike zone, but I don't know. Some of the stuff Nestor may have had a point, but really I didn't think that was the reason as to why he didn't do well. I think it was more on him, if anything. And then for the Rays, it was Zach Littell. And Zach Littell wasn't really all that impressive, but kind of gets the job done. Going 5 2/3, 4 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. So not overpowering, only 3 Ks, but only 2 runs. So, he did what he had to do. And yeah, Yankees didn't really have a whole lot of traffic, not a whole lot of opportunities. And the guy that was best by far was Anthony Volpe. So Volpe had a really good game 2 and game 3 for that matter as well. So Volpe, where he was kind of cooling off, he's starting to heat back up again, which is good to see. And so the Rays take the early lead. Leadoff homer Yandy Diaz, the second homer of the season. So we've seen that a lot. We've seen a lot of first batter home runs against the Yanks, or at least first inning home runs and first inning runs against. It feels that way at the very least. So Diaz makes it 1-0 Rays. Then in the second inning, the Yankees get their 2 runs. After a 1-out walk by Rizzo, it's a double for Austin Wells. And for Wells, even though Trevino is the one that has the better stats, Wells, too, looks good up there. I've said that. I know the stats don't back it up, but it's really been good for him. I like the patience. He's got some good pop. So look, the catching position, it's not it's not eye-popping in terms of the names, Jose Trevino and Austin Wells, but it's been a pretty good duo. Second and third one out. Then you do get Oswaldo not getting the job done. He grounds out. And then Trent Grisham with a walk. So now it's bases loaded, 2 out. And a 2-run single for Anthony Volpe. Gives Yankees a 2-1 lead. However, really bad base running by Trent Grisham as he's caught between second and third with Juan Soto on deck. So with Grisham, I've noticed that so far this year. The few times he's been on, the base running has not been smart. And so that was big because maybe Soto kind of breaks it open. And so the Yankees take a 2-1 lead in that Volpe 2-run hit. Let's go to the bottom of the third. And this is when things unraveled for Cortez. Leadoff walk Jose Siri, which you can't do. Double Yandy Diaz, who owns Nestor Cortez career-wise. And then the opposite field 3-run homer for Randy Arozarena. His 7th homer of the year gives the Rays a 4-2 lead. And that was what they needed. That was the big blow. And the Yankees were in trouble at that point. So from there, let's see. Soto, I think, gets under one as the tying run in the 5th, where Volpe gets a single, still second, and Soto flies out. Then let's go to... Oh, you know what? No, it was it was the 7th. This was the last big opportunity. 7th inning, a little 2-out rally. Trent Grisham's hit by a pitch against the lefty Clevenger. Then Anthony Volpe singles off of Jason Adam. And then Soto versus Adam, and Soto to center doesn't get all of it. And so, he was kind of going for that 3-run homer, falls short. So it stays 4-2. And then in the 7th, the Rays get going. And this was mostly off of Dennis Santana, who had a rough outing. And it's a leadoff walk for Ben Rortvedt. You don't want to do that. Then after a ground out that gets over to second, RBI double Yandy Diaz makes it 5-2. RBI double Randy Arozarena makes it 6-2. So Dennis Santana hit pretty hard in that one. Then Ian Hamilton comes on. It's an infield single for Ahmed Razar. Then a sac fly by Isaac Paredes makes it 7-2 Rays. And from there, Michael Tonkin replaces Hamilton in the 8th, goes scoreless, but not a whole lot to speak of for the rest of the game. The Rays win 7-2. Tie the series up at that point. So let's go to game 3, which was a Mother's Day matinee at the Trop. And the Yankees got 5 home runs. But really, for me, the story is Luis Gil. Luis Gil has been so good, and I just hope that he can stay healthy. And if he can be a really big part of this rotation for years to come. If he can, stay with it mentally, the physical tools are all there. And so this win improves him to 4-1. His ERA sits at 2.51. He actually only had 3 strikeouts in this game. So 48 strikeouts and 43 innings on the season, very good, and a whip of 1.09. And for him, the opposing batting average is 144. Really dominant stuff. He's tough to hit. What a find Luis Gil has been for the Yankees. It's just health has been the problem. Because I like what I saw from him in 6 starts in 2021. Look, the walks were a lot then too, but you saw what he had. So in this one, the Yankees take a 6-0 lead, and it gets really dicey as the bullpen fucks up in the 7th and allows 5 runs, and it could have been worse. This game reminded me slightly of last year's game. It was Cole versus McClanahan, a Sunday game at the Trop, and it was a game the Yankees took a 6-0 lead. And I actually think it was Jose Siri as well that hit a big homer at one point off of Cole. He hits a grand slam in this one. Just a very similar game, and that one the Yankees lost. But this one they win. And maybe that's the difference between the 2023 Yanks and the 2024 Yanks. But this lineup was a little bit different. As I said earlier, Verdugo with a rare off day. Jahmai Jones gets his first career start in left field, and he definitely took advantage of that. And then as well as Waldo would sit again. So, look, with John Birdie back, it seems like that might affect Oswaldo Cabrera's playing time. And I don't necessarily think that's fair. And Gleyber hits this 3-run homer, but if he hadn't hit the 3-run homer, my point would be, look, Gleyber should be part of that bench process. I mean, he did sit the second game. But, Gil, his line, 6 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. So, just really good stuff from Gil. And then for the Rays, it was Tyler Alexander who struggled, but he actually did go deep. He went 7 innings, 7 hits, 6 runs, 6 earned runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, 3 homers allowed. And that's what really got him. So Yankees start out early, leadoff triple for Anthony Volpe, and then a sac fly by Juan Soto. Gives the Yankees an early 1-0 lead. Let's go to the third. Jahmai Jones. And only his second start. And for Jones, let's see. I think it's his first hit as a Yank, too. So that'd be, let's see. Let me confirm that. No, that's not true. He had a hit previously. So not his first hit. But, first major league home run for Jones. Pretty cool. And, you can tell that he is definitely a favorite in that locker room. I don't expect him to last, so much longer on the roster, but hey, he made the opening day team and he's still here. So you never know. Yankees take a 2-0 lead right there. Then let's go to the top of the fourth. A leadoff single for Anthony Rizzo. And then with 2 out, Jose Trevino. His first homer of the day, third of the season. So for Trevino, he was just getting started there. And I'll jump ahead. He does homer again. He's batting .293 on the season with a .794 OPS. So Trevino, who I was critical of early in the season, he is showing what he did in 2022. And maybe it says that last year he really was dealing with that injury all year long and it affected him. And that's good. And same with Rizzo. So, but top of the fifth, 1-out single Soto, and then Aaron Judge goes opposite field, his 10th homer of the year, 2-run homer. So Aaron Judge, all of a sudden, he's got 10 homers, 27 RBIs. The .235 batting average is low for him. I think that'll pick up. But hey, .866 OPS. And we know he's better than that as well. But just the fact that he's already there, it just shows you the power is back. The on base is very much prevalent. And it's good to see. So 6-0 Yanks at that point. And Heel is able to go 6 strong. Where things get interesting is the 7th. And look, Caleb Ferguson I think he had 7 straight scoreless outings. But for Ferguson, it's really, really been rough as a Yank. And so after this outing, he ends up with a 6.43 ERA and a 1.57 whip. So for Ferguson, there were high hopes, and it's definitely not been good in his time as a Yank. So what happens is this. Leadoff single Palacios, 1-out double DeLuca, and then he walks Ben Rortvedt. That just cannot, on 4 pitches, lefty. You cannot do that. And then a grand slam for Jose Siri, his 3rd homer of the year, makes it 6-4. So the whole feel of the game changes at that point. Then Nick Burdi comes on. And Nick Burdi, he was good before he got hurt, but the walks and the wildness were there, and that very much happened here. Really, really bad outing for Burdi. Walks Diaz, walks low, hits Arozarena, and out. So now it's 6-4, bases on 1 out, and hey, it's the savior, Luke Weaver. Now, it doesn't start out good. He hits Isaac Paredes, and so now it's 6-5, but he's able to hold it right there and keep the lead. Palacios line out, no advance, and then Rosario ground out. And then in the 8th inning, the Yankees put up some very important insurance runs off of, again, Sean Armstrong. So Sean Armstrong struggled in the series. 1-out single Stanton, double Rizzo, 2nd and 3rd, 1 out, and Gleyber Torres with a really big homer. And it's interesting because Gleyber has 10 RBIs in the season. Off the top of my head, I can think about 3 RBI spots he had. It was a 3-run double versus the Brewers and a 3-run homer versus the Rays here. So 6 of his 10 RBIs were within 2 plays. It just goes to show what he's not doing. But when he has come through, they have been in some pretty big spots, and this would qualify as one. So, because the game was turning on the Yankees, and Gleyber gets it done there. Let's hope that this can spark him. And it's 9-5 Yanks. Then eventually Erasmo Ramirez comes in for Armstrong, and Jose Trevino does it again. 2nd homer of the day, 4th homer of the season. Let the good times roll for him. Yanks take a 10-5 lead. And then Luke Weaver in the 8th inning stays on and pitches a 1-2-3 inning with a couple of strikeouts. Again, he's been very, very good. And then in the bottom of the 9th, Ian Hamilton. And for Hamilton, the struggles do kind of continue. He gives up a leadoff homer to Yandy Diaz, his 3rd homer of the year. And then, after that, he did settle down, and he was able to finish it off, give the Yanks a 10-6 win, and the Yankees win the series. So like I said, 5-0 now in rubber games, which is great, and they've won 10 of 13 series, 27-15. So where they sit in the AL East, the Orioles, they took 2 of 3 from the Arizona Diamondbacks. So the Yankees are able to keep pace, and that's good considering the matchups this weekend. I'll take that. The Yanks are a half game behind the Orioles, 2 back on the loss side. So the Orioles definitely still have a little bit of an edge, but it's close. And, that's going to be where it's at in the AL East. I know it's early, but I think it's going to be Yankees or Orioles. So now Yankees will head to Minnesota for a 3-game set. The pitching matchups are as follows. It'll be Carlos Rodon on the bump for the Yanks versus Chris Paddock. So give the Yankees a decent shot in that one. Then game 2 will be Marcus Stroman versus Pablo Lopez. I don't love that one as much, but it's not as if Lopez has been red hot so far this season, but still on paper, I would give the Twins the edge there. And then game 3, Clarke Schmidt versus Joe Ryan. And Joe Ryan, definitely an underrated pitcher, but Clarke as well. So look, this will be, I'm not going out on a limb here and saying this, but probably someone wins this 2 of 3. I don't think we'll see a sweep. And hopefully the Yankees are the ones that can take 2 of 3 against a good Twin team that's 24-16. Yankees are 27-15. So Yankees get the job done. They go to Tropicana Field and they take 2 of 3 from the Tampa Bay Rays.